International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL and Agricultural Development Bank.
Coming up on International Trade Focus, we shall take a look at the Diaspora Affairs Office and the role it plays in attracting foreign direct investment into Ghana. Now, countries all over the world have been doing their best to attract foreign direct investment in order to boost their economy. In Ghana, several strategies and policy initiatives have been rolled out over the years to boost foreign direct investment, and the latest of these initiatives is the establishment of Diaspora Affairs at the seat of the Presidency. On today's edition of International Trade Focus, we shall take a look at the Diaspora Affairs Office under the Presidency and the role it plays in attracting foreign direct investment into the country. My name is Anna Spio, and this is International Trade Focus. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL Good Energy, ADB, Truly Agric, and more, Public Elegance, and Pediatric Valley Resort. Stay tuned. A warm welcome back. On our focal point segment, we shall explore the benefits of engaging Ghanaian diaspora formally through government policy and the role that the Diaspora Affairs Office plays in engaging, attracting, and leveraging diaspora resources for national development. Our focal point segment comes up next. African nations are beginning to appreciate the potential of accessing the resources of their diaspora for development. This has been emphasized by the success stories of some Asian countries like India, Korea, and China, who leveraged the skills and resources of their diaspora to develop at a faster pace. In Ghana, the Office of Diaspora Affairs was established under the Presidency to coordinate activities concerning the Ghanaian diaspora. In September 2018, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo declared and formally launched the Year of Return Ghana 2019 in Washington, D.C. for Africans in the diaspora. This action has given fresh momentum to the quest to unite Africans on the continent with their brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Although this was a diplomatic effort to connect the diaspora to their home country, the economical argument of this endeavor has become apparent at this time, culminating in the maiden Ghana Diaspora Investment Summit held in 2021 in Ghana. On our focal point segment today, we shall explore the benefits of engaging the Ghanaian diaspora formally through government policy and the role the Diaspora Affairs Office under the Presidency plays in engaging, attracting, and leveraging diaspora resources for national development. In 2019, Ghana launched the Year of Return to mark 400 years since the first Africans were taken off the shores of Africa, beginning, in essence, the transatlantic slave trade. This Year of Return was marked with year-long tourism and festive programs welcoming back the historic diaspora and the general African diaspora. The government recorded some $3 million in direct revenue, and the hospitality and tourism sector recorded major windfall profits. Following the success of the Year of Return in 2019, the government of Ghana launched the Beyond the Return project. The Beyond the Return project is intended to attract and leverage diaspora expertise and resources to promote national development. Several government agencies are rallying behind this policy initiative. For instance, Minister of Finance Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta announced government's intention to begin issuing diaspora bonds as a way of financing government expenditure. Similar initiatives have been taken by the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, in the maiden Ghana Diaspora Investment Summit launched in June 2021. CEO of GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant, underscored the importance of the diaspora in attracting the necessary capital investment as a cheap way of supporting local development.
Many countries have actually issued diaspora bonds to also find a formal way of attracting diaspora funding into the economies. And the list is many. India, in 1991, 1998, and 2000 issued diaspora bonds. Israel has done so and has raised almost $38 billion since 1951 from its diaspora. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, and Sri Lanka have their diaspora as a major resource for national development. And I believe that Ghana can do the same. Indeed, in Africa, quite a number of countries have issued diaspora bonds. Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, and tapping the diaspora bonds is a long-term strategy and a multi-year process, and is dependent, amongst other things, political and socio-economic factors such as economic performance and perceptions about political stability.
According to the World Bank, sub-Saharan African countries can potentially raise between $1 to $3 billion by reducing the cost of international migrant remittances, and about $5 to $10 billion by issuing diaspora bonds, and another $17 billion by securitizing future remittances and other future receivables. The same organization noted that official migrant remittances to sub-Saharan Africa were estimated at $40 billion in 2015, and the remittance flows have increased about sixfold since 2000. According to UFU Grant, Africa is not fully appropriating the resources and skills of the diaspora for rapid economic growth.
Mobilizing capital. This represents the largest share of diaspora capital transferred to countries of origin. And there are proven ways in which citizens share prosperity and growth. In 2016, diaspora remittances flows to sub-Saharan Africa alone was approximately $33 billion. In Ghana, remittances have helped decrease or reduce poverty by at least 5% over the past 5 to 10 years. And Ghana is the second largest remittance recipient in Africa after Nigeria, with remittances increasing by 5% to reach $3.6 billion in 2020, as according to the World Bank Migration and Development Report of 2021. Now, this is just the formal remittances from Ghanaians last year. There is a sound belief that there is more, and perhaps that number could top $5 billion a year. Unfortunately, there has been no structured template or format through which this opportunity is harnessed into national development, although it happens in an indirect way. And so for us, it's important to actually create the pathways for this to happen. And I'm happy to say that government is working on the Homeland Act, which will define the protocols of engagement with the diaspora. But as well, the Office of the Diaspora, the Presidency, is putting together the diaspora policy, which will then enumerate the ways in which that engagement will be acted in a formal way.
This is why the mandate of the Diaspora Affairs Office is very strategic in this era of development. The Diaspora Affairs Office of the President was established in February 2017 to serve in building bridges between the diasporan's country of residence and Ghana by providing market access, sources of expertise, knowledge. It recognizes the Ghanaian diaspora as an ally and a strategic resource of the government for its development efforts. It's currently estimated that an annual inflow of about $5 billion comes to Ghana formally and informally through remittance from Ghanaians in the diaspora. The Diaspora Affairs Office has a mandate to efficiently harness, mobilize, and steer Ghanaian resources in the diaspora for political inclusion, economic and socio-cultural development. The Diaspora Affairs of the President works in partnership with other state institutions, Ghanaian missions and associations abroad, international organizations and NGOs, as well as other state institutions to promote the interest of Ghanaians in the diaspora. Already, the office has successfully executed a national service scheme for young Ghanaians in the diaspora who wish to undergo national service in Ghana and has secured citizenship for others who wish to migrate to Ghana and invest. What started as a social historic partnership opens up a potential for Ghana to harness the resources of its diaspora to champion national development. The Ghanaian diaspora in the recent past has contributed significantly in an informal way to the country. It's now time to harness the potential more formally into government's flagship economic programs like Planting for Food and Jobs, One District, One Factory, and other digitization efforts by government. The potential is endless.
And that does it for our focal point segment. Our in-depth segment comes up next. Now, Mr. Kwesi Ewuababio is the director in charge of the Diaspora Affairs and our guest for today. He will tell us more about his outfit and how they are going to ensure that Ghana fully engages the diaspora and leverages the pool of talent and investment potential for the development of the country. Stay tuned for our in-depth segment. A warm welcome back. If you just tuned in, you're watching International Trade Figures. Now, the importance of foreign direct investment to any country cannot be underestimated. Now, here in Ghana, there's been several policies and initiatives geared towards foreign direct investment into the country. Mr. Kwesi Ewuababio is the director at this institution or division, and we want to find out exactly how they are going to go about it. Thank you very much for joining us on our program today. Tell us a little bit about the division and your mandate and all of that.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Let me say a big hi to your viewers and how grateful we are for this opportunity to, throw some light on what we do and to let people know where to come to if they need be. We are the Diaspora Affairs Office of the President, and obviously we are a recent setup. This has come about because of the realization that the key role that the diaspora play in the nation building, and the realization that has dawned on not just our country but on worldwide countries like how Japan, India, all have contributed through their diaspora to build these places is of interest to us as a country. And therefore, Ghana too felt that we needed to have units under government that would be dedicated to focus on building the relationships that we have with the diaspora to enable us to harness that potential that is out there. So we try to make sure that when the diaspora comes into Ghana, there's someone to help them, direct them to where they ought to go, the right places, remove those roadblocks that will be placed in their way as they try to do things that they have to do. Give them access to people in government, facilitate their contact and their relationship, the networks that they have to build. So that is what we are, dedicated in doing, and to make sure that the diaspora feels welcome, feels at home. When they have been away for so long, obviously they don't know the place as well as the indigenous or those of us who have lived here for all the time or who are continuously here on a regular basis. So we try to liaise between them and the appropriate organizations where they have to direct their efforts.
All right. So let's now take a look at some institutions, whether non-governmental or governmental institutions that you work with, and what's their supportive role that they are playing towards this agenda.
I think this agenda is being facilitated by some NGOs and the private sector as a whole. I could specifically mention some partner countries that are also seeing how best they can facilitate these efforts that we want to put in ourselves, like GIZ, which is this German organization, like the unit under the British High Commission, and so many other of the agencies, embassies, who are all looking to see how they can facilitate this initiative that we have. So we are very grateful for all of them. They support most of the things, the programs that we do. In the last homecoming that we undertook, some of them were there to support us to see how we can continue to dialogue with the Ghanaians who live in those host countries. They realize the usefulness of the people who are out there and how you know, having served those countries, they should continue to be of some use to their native countries as well. So there's that collaboration going on all the time. And in a way, it is to help us to reverse the brain drain that had taken place so many years ago, that has plagued Africa and Ghana in particular, you know, for those who have left our shores to seek greener pastures, for the slavery that took place, that took people away for so many years, for all the third generation out there who, you know, have parents left Ghana and have developed and done things in the, you know, host countries. We are looking to see how we can bring them in, and there are all sorts of organizations. I'm glad to say that, yes, like I said, during the homecoming and all the programs that we have undertaken, private companies, private initiatives have been at the forefront in trying to enable us to realize these objectives. And I believe, you know, we can even mention your network, for instance, you know, with the role you are playing right now, trying to give us that exposure, making sure that we can be heard, that people would know what we are doing. We are very grateful, and we sincerely want to say a big thank you.
Your division or the office is committed towards ensuring that Ghana fully engages the diaspora and leverages the pool of talent and investment potential for developing the country. So what are some opportunities that you've identified as far as the diaspora is concerned? I believe that it's a two-way street. So they find investment opportunities in the country. We also see it as a means to attract foreign direct investment into our country. First of all, what have you identified as far as the diaspora is concerned, or as far as investment opportunities from the diaspora is concerned?
I think the key thing that you can find with the diaspora community is the network that they have out there, that you need to enable them to, you know, bring back home. The network of friends, the network of entrepreneurs, the network of skill sets, and the people that they can relate to. Let's take a typical example of how the Ashesi University had been, you know, came about. How, you know, one individual working with a network of friends, you know, he was able to convince them that they should help him to do something here in Ghana, and they had followed through and had come to establish this very, you know, esteemed institution that is very laudable. You can mention the Focus Hospital, you know, that has also been established by the people out there taking advantage of the network of people that they have there to come and do things here. You can go on and on and on. Recently, there's this young gentleman, the Ghana Summit, who, as a result of coming here to, you know, partake in the 2017 Ghana Homecoming, was able to team up with friends here who had met at that conference, and they had then realized that they could really network outside as well to bring in some, you know, entrepreneurs and some, you know, tech companies that would advance the fintech industry in Ghana here. So you can go on and on and on. These are the network of things that, you know, are there that we can bring back home. Plus, you can also have the opportunity to tap into the capital, access to capital that they have. You know, so many of them haven't lived and worked out there, have got the opportunity to accumulate capital, either by, say, staying there and then having their pensions that can regularly be coming through as remittances to them in support of the initiatives that they have, or actually knowing people who have got capital that they can also, you know, really bring back home. So many things that you can find that the diaspora would enable them to come in. Plus the basic skill set that they have as individuals, you know, in terms of expertise in finance, in IT, in all sorts of social, you know, management, and all the areas that you can think of. Even in our football and, you know, sporting world, you can find them actually coming back home with some skill sets that are perhaps here to complement what we have. So it's endless, right, as far as, you know, the diaspora potential is concerned. You could go on and on and on.
Right. So the Diaspora Affairs, we know that works in connection with government agencies, just like the Foreign Affairs, tourism, and it's also a division under the Presidency. So taking a look at investment opportunities, how? I mean, we've talked about the opportunities that we've identified already with the diaspora. So how then do we attract them to come into the country? What are some measures or policies that we need to put in place?
Because we are dedicated towards the diaspora, I mean, to the diaspora, we are able to sell them the government policies that they should be aware of to take advantage of. Sensitization of the public out there. As far as the diaspora is concerned, you got to let them know that there's that 1D, 1F that they could take advantage of. You got to let them know about how they should be preparing themselves for these programs. You have to let them know about the planting for food and jobs. You have to know about our digitization programs and how we are looking to transform the country to make it similar to where they live to, so that it makes it more attractive for them to come home. So many things that you have to do for them to know that this place is prepared and it's going to be another home that they can come to. But I think there's another aspect of what we can also let them know, that the fact that we are asking for people to relate or come back to us does not mean completely abandoning wherever they might find themselves to be comfortable with the families and with other, all sorts of, things that have made them look where they are. You could be looking to make them realize that because this is a global village, they could be here and they could be there, and that they have to look back to where they come from and make sure that whatever they have been able to acquire, they have to also share with us, because this is what they can really call home. So these are some of the things that we have to let them know, that there's a place called home. And I suppose lately, reluctantly, even though I have to add this, events are conspiring in our favor that is making them aware themselves that they have to prepare a place called home. Given what's there, narcissism and all the things that discriminations and all the things that are happening, that is really, basically questioning one's belongings in all those societies. Is something that is drawing attention to the fact that they have to go to some place where they could call home, and we are prepared to let them know that yes, there's a place here like that, which is where they should come to.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Interestingly, although it's a sad situation or phenomenon, we can also take advantage of that, because if you're not wanted here, quote unquote, then there's home that you have to look to.
Can you imagine, for instance, all those players who were taking part in the national team playing for England, just because they missed the penalties, people are giving them the tough time. What if they were playing for Ghana? What if they were playing for where they really, really belong? So these are things, and this Floyd thing that happened in the U.S. that questioned the very, right of what people have in the country, to the extent that somebody like Steve Wonder would make an observation, a comment that he would be prepared to move to a place where he would be able to stand tall and know that he really doesn't have to be questioning them as to how to make things better for them all the time. So these are the events that are conspiring in our favor, that we should be taking advantage of as a country, to prepare ourselves to see who should come in, and when they are coming in, how we want to really make them comfortable.
And I believe in terms of business opportunities too, now we can talk of the Continental Free Trade Secretariats being in the country, multinationals setting up assembly plants and companies here in Ghana. So it's making the country more or less a preferred business destination.
Oh yes, certainly.
Yeah, but there's the issue of living expenses in the country. Someone, for instance, will say that a hotel, say in Accra, can cost even more than a hotel in Vegas or Dubai or something. So in terms of the cost of living, which I believe is a bit unrealistic as far as Ghana is concerned, what are some things that you believe we can, policies or initiatives that you believe we can take so that we can take a look at the cost of living in the country?
I think overall, the cost of living would always be a problem that has to be looked at, that has to be addressed. But I would also want to say that that is not certainly something that the people that we are trying to, let them see how they can come in, worry about. There are other things that are on their priority list. I believe something like security and the stability of the country, and those things are more perhaps important. But of course, the cost of living in general would always be something that one has to pay attention to, so that it's not just the person who is coming in, but the community that he's coming to live in, and how comfortable the rest are, so that people do not see them as having stand apart from them, or not too jealous and envious of what the living standards that they are coming to enjoy themselves vis-a-vis what the general community is enjoying, which can have its own repercussions. So in general, I think that is a valid point that we need to have a look at, not just in respect of personal accommodation, but even in terms of hospitality, the hoteliers and everything that we have to offer them for a start before they even find their own places. How reasonable can we be with our cost of living for those people in that respect? And that is something that is very, very relevant. So the cost of living for that aspect of life has to come down. Yeah. But overall, cost of living in Ghana as a whole has to be very, very realistic for people. At the income rates that people are being paid, the hotels and the facilities, the hospitality industry are pretty well above what the average person wants to enjoy. So these are, I suppose, this recent observation by the Minister of Tourism attests to the fact that he is even, equally concerned, and I believe is in the process of seeing how best they can work together to address these issues. So it's not completely, out of touch that you should point out that government is very much aware of it and working towards, the whole idea that, Ghana beyond age should enable us to, function as well as we should in normal situations is of concern, and that's why we need a diaspora to replace all those things that we will be losing if we don't have all the aids coming to us.
Right, if you just tuned in, you're watching International Trade Focus, and this is our in-depth segment. We're having a conversation with Mr. Kwesi Ababio. He is the director at Diaspora Affairs. We're taking a look at his outfit and how they are going to ensure that Ghana fully engages the diaspora and leverages the pool of talent and investment potential for the development of the country. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. A warm welcome back. The conversation continues with the director at Diaspora Affairs, Mr. Kwesi Ababio. Stay tuned. What we are doing currently, how would you assess the level of progress so far in terms of attracting investors into the country, in terms of attracting Ghanaians living abroad to sort of participate in our local tourism in general? How would you assess the level of progress so far?
When you're asked to assess yourself, you're most likely going to say nice things about yourselves. But anyway, I think it's there for everyone to see. I mean, through this office and through the collaborations that we've had with other government agencies like Ministry of Tourism, when they began, when Katrina Feku used to be the minister, the cordial relationship, the building blocks that he had put in place, and that was what that was what resulted in the full circle coming into Ghana. And we know what that brought to this country, that it ignited the social media, and that we were mentioned all over the place. And so one of those key artists and key performers from the Hollywood came over. It was something that we could shout about, and all the state agencies were also coming together to support it. And what do you say? it basically gave the basis from which we were able to launch that year of return, and the success is a very, very there for everyone to see. But if you should take that aside, I think it's also this year we were supposed to do another homecoming, which we have not been able to because of COVID. But for the first time in Ghana, when we did the first homecoming in 2001, that was during the time of President Kufuor, there was a long lapse between which there was not that much that scale of homecoming mobilization of the diaspora until 2017 when we did another one. And then shortly after 2017, being a binary event, we repeated it in 2019. So 2021 is supposed to be a big one like that. But unfortunately, COVID has put a dampener on the whole thing, and now we are trying to revise the strategy to see how, despite that, we can do things. So for now, we have gone into partnership with the Ghana Dangbe, people who are coming to do this big, homecoming, which will be at the National Independence Square and the Accra Conference Center. We are supporting that. We are strategizing with them to see how the Ghana community can be mobilized. And I believe in this mobilization, we are not just looking at the tribal mobilization of just the Ghana Dangbe people, but for all those in Accra here who live in the Ghana Dangbe area, how best we want to make it a better, place for us to, live as people. It's all on the agenda. It's all on the, something that we want to do. And going forward, this is how we would also be engaging with other sectors of the country, and Ashanti Mine, people getting themselves ready for an eventual Ashanti Mine, homecoming, which will coincide with the 25th anniversary of the 2-4. There are so many things in the pipeline, depending on who is organizing themselves, how we want to throw our weight behind them. And then, of course, there's all these other areas that we are, making advances in, which is engaging the youth in the diaspora by some of the policies that we have, the initiatives that we have pursued, the National Service Scheme, working side by side with the National Service to make sure that the Ghanaians living out there can come in and do their national service. At the beginning of it, about 200 were, shown the interest and they came over. We had an MOU with the National Service Secretariat. They took advantage of it and they were engaged. More recently, I'm getting all the, the requests from people who don't, by national service standards, are perhaps well off in there, but they want to come to Ghana and do their national service because they want to go on record as having done their national service. They are all queuing to come and do this. And then we have an internship program that we encourage those who haven't left school yet but want to come and do some 3-month stints of work with the organizations are coming in to do. As we speak, there's a lady who has come in, a student of Cambridge University, who wants to do something with the prison service and prison reforms. We had to do that sort of, facilitation to get this person to come in. She's working as we speak. So all sorts of interests, all sorts of levels, all sorts of facets of, engagement are being, used by this office and to whip up the enthusiasm of the diaspora, to give them the opportunities to play their part. And we are excited by that.
So you serve as a liaison between the diaspora and the relevant state or private institutions?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So let's do some projections into the future, taking a look at happenings now. In the next, say, 5-10 years, how do you see foreign direct investments from Ghanaians living in the diaspora in general? And how do you see our tourism industry in general in the next 5 years from where you sit?
I think, yes, perhaps the appropriate people would be the tourism and the GIPC people too. But even from where I sit, I can see how and where it is going. For instance, with the GIPC, we are in the conference with them not long ago. We saw the Chief Executive Yofi talking about what he's targeted, for the year. And if that is something to go by, you can make that projection into the future for 5 years from now, where it is all going to go. And Ghana being a very conducive place for business, I believe is going to go on the ascendancy to attract these diaspora investment. So the more we grow as a country, the more our economy, goes along the projected lines, economic growth, the more we are seen as the place to invest in Africa, the more our friendliness comes through, the more our hospitality is something that we can be there to take it for granted. The more they would come, and the more they would know that, yes, this is a very stable country. Look, this is a country where we got the opposition marching all the way to the Jubilee House to present their, petition on some very, very important issues that they think, the government should be hearing them on this. So that kind of society that we are building, that sort of society that we are is taking shape, is in itself, very, very attractive. And I believe outsiders there would always want to look at it like that and see how they can take advantage of it. I suppose, with all the developments that have taken place in the rest of the world, there's no other place to develop but Africa. And there's no other place that can take the lead than, Ghana. And that's where we want to position ourselves and get them coming through first.
Mm-hmm. Right, so the COVID-19 pandemic, once again, what sort of impacts did it have on the operations, and what lessons have we learned from this?
I think the COVID, there's no doubt that the COVID has ravaged economy and the country. We are not in isolation. The rest of the world, the hospitality industry, we were talking about the projections that I was supposed to have talked about, the industry as well. The sort of things that have happened there, it would take even some time to realize the magnitude, because basically we know these top hotels have all basically come to a standstill, and they need to be revamped, they need to be reboosted. And so this is what the extent of what COVID has done to us. It had put a spanner in our woodworks, but we need to work all the same. So we are going to be, working hard to see how we can bring it back to the level where it was. If we said that 2019 we generated that $2.9 billion of business, and we had gone on that level for a while, we would be bringing in so much. But then, of course, we know what COVID has come to do, and suddenly how it may have dipped into negatives all, together. So it had been a problem, but I believe, we are getting ourselves ready. A lot of people, when you talk to them and they tell you about what life is in Ghana here, it is near normal. We are not there yet. Of course, there you sit with your bikes and but we are beginning to be kind of brave a little bit, knowing that we know the COVID is no longer that total strange thing that we didn't have.
We understand it better now.
Yeah, we have a better understanding. And the facilities for managing the COVID have been improved. There was that record construction of the Ghanaian facility just to deal with COVID. And that track record is all going in our favor, that when the challenges come, we can rise up and, do what is required. So I guess, we have to be proud of ourselves as a country. We have to be proud of our leadership, the role that is being provided. The COVID team meets here almost regularly, I think every 2 weeks or so, if I've been observing rightly, to make sure they're on top of the situation. So as a country, seriously, we've done ourselves very well. And that is why COVID has been contained. And that is why we remain in a position to leap off as soon as, the rest of the world and everything is okay.
Right, so before we take your final words or final remarks, as a country, how can we promote ourselves to the world out there? What role do we have in the promotion of the country? What role do we have in promoting Ghana?
Yes, we have to do what we have already tried successfully, how we can relate through some of these personalities to project our country. And I think we are blessed to have so many of them that we can relate to, or who want to relate to us. We have to continuously take advantage of them. We have to let them know that we have improved on certain things, which is why the road minister, for instance, has joined the steering committee to be very much on board as to how access place to these places can be improved, and how the finance minister has also joined in to make sure that the input that is required for the beyond the return would be available, and how we are working behind the scenes to make sure that we streamline certain things as far as, attainment of the citizenship, residence, and everything is concerned. So in the pipeline, we have something what we call the Homeland Return Act that I was in a meeting on right before you came in. So we are doing all those background work that is going to really, come through to put us in a very strong competitive edge as compared to other African countries. And I'm glad that other African countries are also taking up the challenge, because it is also important that we have a regional bloc that becomes, when some things happen in one place, you can also get the effect in your country. So basically, an influx of people coming into Ghana or to Nigeria or to Sierra Leone or to Liberia makes it very, easier for them to say, oh, then why not go to Ghana? Or why not go to Nigeria? So that regional block, that we are also working on, playing our part. Of course, I cannot forget the AFTA, the African Free Trade, and how that office coming here has put us in good state for those who want to, do business with us. And I'm glad that the diaspora community are constantly making inquiries to see how they can all fit in. Even the Caribbean blocks, are all trying to see. So this block of, trade that you have, where do we relate? How do we relate to it? So everyone is interested in the developments that are taking place in Ghana, and I guess that it will go a long way to help us, So I'm very positive.
Yeah, so you're about to go, but before we go, what are your final words for us?
I think my final words, after saying so much, basically, a rehearse of what I've been saying, that I believe the diaspora community, the diaspora, is a very major component of our development, and that we need to put in some resources to harness that potential. I've always said it that if Ghana were to invest in trying to get the diaspora to really contribute the way we have been investing in the mining sector, the way we have been investing in other sectors of the industry. If we were to find time and space and the resource to invest in our management of the diaspora, in our engagement with the diaspora, I believe the rewards will be more than we are getting for now. I guess for now, the few remittances that are coming in is still measured in billions, of course, but it could be more than tenfold if we do the right thing, if we give them the right sort of opportunities, if we give them the right sort of, chance to really also come in and do what they have to do, and to really bring in the network and the skill set, and we have all the things that we have to be doing as a country, a whole database of the potential out there, so that we know what to bring in at what point in time, etc. There's so much that we have to do, and I believe that if it should be done, will go a long way to enable us to bring them in as the partners in our development effort, to complement whatever we have here as a country, to complement whatever is taking place already. The skill sets is immense that we have to take advantage of. There are some key Ghanaians who are performing in very, very sort of highly skilled areas that they could be making Ghana their home, so that we could be introducing or promoting our tourism, health tourism, so that those who are not well would want to come to Ghana rather than us, So in a sense, reverse this attitude of us, especially politicians, when they say, you go and take the treatment out there. We could be making sure that we have some skill set and establishment and facilities here in Ghana that will enable. And I tell you, there are so many of them, the skill set out there already serving other countries that we need to bring back home. So that is the challenge. And that is just a tip of the iceberg. So we really need to marshal our forces to the right place, and I believe the rewards are there to be gained.
I think some of the reasons that you mentioned is why your division is very important or critical to national building.
Yes. As a country, we cannot fail to take advantage of the diaspora by tying one hand behind them and saying that you can do this, you can do this. Like I was telling you earlier on, it amazes me that, in the course of swearing in people as dual citizens, as citizens of Ghana, they are made to take the oath of allegiance. You take that oath of allegiance, and the next minute, as a dual citizen, they are questioning you about your allegiance to say you can do it. When you've taken the oath of allegiance in front of a high court judge, now you turn around and you telling me I can't take this position because of my allegiance. That's a fallacy, and we need to address that.
Yeah, so these are all situations or issues that we need to take a critical look at. Now, your final words turned into not so final. Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to talk to us.
Yes. I'm glad you gave us this opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Kwesi Ababio is the Director, Diaspora Affairs under the Presidency. We took a look at his division in general, what they are all about, and the role that they play in foreign direct investment. You watch International Trade Figures. We'll be back shortly. And that was Mr. Kwesi Ababio, the Director at Diaspora Affairs under the Presidency. We took a look at his outfit and the role that it plays in attracting foreign direct investment into the country. And that does it for our in-depth segment. Stay tuned for news and events. Don't go away. And it's a wrap for today's edition of International Trade Figures. Join us same time next week for some more on international trade-related activities here in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Figures is brought to you by Gol, Good Energy, ADB, Truly, Agric and more, Public Elegance and Pediasi Valley Resort. My name is Anas Pio. Join us same time next week for some more. Bye-bye.